Hello and welcome in to Good Morning Greyhounds. I'm your host this morning, Madeline Fisher, and I am joined by the iconic, incredible Kayla Sullivan. Kayla, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I'm so happy to be back. It's really nostalgic to be here.
I know, we were talking about your time at UND earlier, and we're going to talk about all of that coming up. But Kayla Sullivan is a 2015 graduate of the University of Indianapolis and served as UND TV's news director during her time as a Greyhound. After graduation, she worked as a multimedia journalist and anchor and a State Capitol Bureau reporter here in the Hoosier State. Last year, Kayla began making mommy reporter TikToks about being a single parent with a news reporter twist. These videos went viral and led her to create and host two family-oriented segments on Wish TV, Channel 8 here in Indianapolis. So Kayla, you've had a fascinating journey. I was looking into all of the places you've gone, all the things you've done, and going from a political reporter to a mommy reporter is a very big jump. But let's talk about your time here at UND first. So you graduated in 2015, you spent some time with WICR, and you spent most of your time here at UND TV. So kind of talk about what you did during your time with UND TV and kind of how that prepared you for what you did after graduation.
Absolutely. So I've known that I wanted to be a TV news reporter since I was in the 4th grade. I was wearing blazers. I was doing the school announcements like, we are having chicken nuggets for lunch today. Like, I was very serious. And so when I was trying to pick a university to go to, everybody kept telling me, go to Ball State, David Letterman, blah, blah, blah. So in my mind, that was my only choice. And I had a radio show in high school, and Scott Eaker, he came up to me and he was helping with some engineering at my high school station. And he told me, hey, where are you going to college? And I was like, oh, Ball State. And he said, no, you got to go to UND. We've got a great program here. And he introduced me to UND TV. And what drew me to this university is the fact that you, from day one, can pick up a camera and just start going with UND TV. When in other universities that I'd studied, you had to have these prerequisites, you had to go through all of this stuff before you could ever do what you love. And that was really appealing to me because I didn't want to wait. I had been doing it since the 4th grade. I wanted to pick up a camera, I wanted to report, I wanted to anchor, I wanted to do all the things. And so my experience here was exactly what I wanted. I had such hands-on experience, and then being in Indianapolis brought so many connections. I interned at WTHR, Wish TV, which now I work there, Fox 59, and I ended up working there as well as the political reporter. So those connections that I made here in Indianapolis as a college student really helped develop my career.
Yeah, and the facilities here on campus, obviously, for communication majors have just continued to improve. So kind of talk about what specifically you used here and how that transferred directly into your professional life.
Absolutely. I mean, being the news director of UND News, the show that we put on, that was huge experience, but also the experience that I had taking classes that weren't related to TV news. I ended up taking a year in PR because, as a single mom, the TV news industry was just really difficult, and I couldn't manage both, especially being the only political reporter in the state. It was just a lot on me, so I decided to take a year break. And because of the skills that I learned here at the university to actually be able and do PR as well, I just think it does a really good job preparing you for different positions, and that's very valuable as someone who's going to college because you're paying for a degree. But what if you change your mind? What if circumstances bring you outside of that? What if something happened to my voice or whatever? I need options, and that's what a college degree should do for you. So I feel like UND prepared me really well to leave the industry, but also create my own position, which is what I ended up doing. I took advantage of the fact that my content went viral, and I wrote my own job description at Wish. There was no such thing as a mommy reporter. There was no such thing as Kidding with Kayla, which is what my segment is called on Wish TV. But I created it. I pitched that story, and because of the experience I had here of creating my own shows in college, because we get that opportunity as student management to create our own shows. So I created my own segment because that's what I did in college, and I had that experience. So it really was valuable, and it resulted in some major successes in my career.
Yeah, and you talked about being in Indianapolis and how that's an invaluable asset for a communication career especially, but you worked with Wish TV, you worked with WTHR, Fox 59. So once you graduated, did you know because of those internships you wanted to come back to Indianapolis?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my family's here, so I'm born and raised. I think personally, what makes me drawn to local broadcast news is the fact that this is my community, right? It's a service to the community by definition. So for me, I love serving my community. So being in Indianapolis has always been the goal. My main goal growing up was to be the main anchor in Indianapolis, right? To be the next Debbie Knox, if you will. And I ended up working with her and anchoring with her at CBS 4, which was a dream come true. I remember she visited the university, and that's another thing that UND provides, are local, local celebrities, if you will, local people coming in, and you're able to talk to them, you're able to network with them. Our professors did such a good job bringing those people in the community in to meet us and network with us. So being here in Indianapolis is such an advantage, and it absolutely made me want to stay here, because if that's where your network is, that's where your opportunities are.
Absolutely. And upon graduation, you went to WLFI in Lafayette, and you kind of took on a lot of positions there. You started doing the MMJ gig and then moved into actually anchoring. So kind of talk about what goes into being an MMJ, because people hear MMJ, they're like, oh, you're the reporter. Kind of talk about what the job.
You do everything when you're the MMJ. And it's awesome, because I remember in college, all the professors saying, you're not going to be able to get a Monday through Friday right off the bat. You're going to have to work a terrible schedule. You're going to have to do all the things. You're going to have multiple stories a day. And they really did a good job preparing us for the realities that is broadcast news. I mean, it is a demanding industry, and you do have to pay your dues. It's the way that it is. And I was glad that I got to pay my dues in West Lafayette. It's such a great community. It's such a forgiving community. You were able to make your mistakes there and then easily move up to Indianapolis, because it's still in the Indianapolis market. Here at Wish TV, we still cover Lafayette. We still cover that area. So the sources that I was getting there as a reporter were valuable to an Indianapolis market, which was the goal. So, I was shooting my own stories, editing my own stories, multiple stories a day. I covered courts, I covered the State House, I covered, the commissioners and the council and all of those things. So really that government experience that I got was really valuable, because I ended up being the political reporter. And just anchoring in general was such a blessing. I got to do it with the news director. So that's what happens in a small TV station. Sometimes they play multiple roles. He was the news director and my co-anchor, and we were so close. He's a good friend of mine still to this day. And that's the advantage of being in a small market. You get those friendships. I mean, some of the friendships that I made, one of my very best friends was a reporter at WLFI, and I met her when I was a reporter there. So it feels kind of like college 2.0 when you first get into your first market, right? And you make lifelong connections, and then you get to where you want to be, which for me was Indianapolis.
And you went from the reporter to the anchor. So kind of talk about how you were able to start as a reporter and eventually move on to the news desk, because like you said, you're not going to start in that Monday through Friday anchoring position straight out of college. So what did you have to do to move from the reporter seat to the news desk?
Absolutely. I mean, I had to prove myself. I had to be on it. I had to be pitching the best stories every day. I had to, be giving good content, being great on camera, showing my interest. I had to really let my news director know, I want to be an anchor. This is my goal. What do I need to be doing to get there? And I moved up pretty quickly. I mean, I was only there 6 months before I became Monday through Friday. And so I was just always on the lookout for the next opportunity and how I could get there. And if anybody's, looking for advice, making your goals known is such a great thing, because when your managers know what motivates you, they'll help you get there, or at least good managers will. Yeah. So, and that's what happened. I let him know, I want to be the main anchor here. I want to be moving up. Eventually, I want to be in Indianapolis. And he helped me accomplish those goals. But you also have to have the motivation to want to do it yourself. So that's really how I did it, was just staying motivated. And it was my life. I mean, at the time, I didn't have a kid, so I had all the time in the world to just pour myself into this career. And it was awesome. I mean, I loved doing it. I was passionate about it. And I'm so thankful for that time in my life and for that experience, because that's what got me to this schedule, which now I work 3 days a week. I record 2 of my segments. I have so much flexibility in my career, and I wouldn't have been able to get to this point had I not paid my dues.
And going from West Lafayette to Indianapolis, we talk about smaller markets to bigger markets, Indianapolis being in the top 30, West Lafayette being a pretty low market. Was it nerve-wracking jumping from such a small market to a really large market?
It was. I know that because it was my hometown, I think I was less nervous because it just felt right for me, right? It just felt like I was finally reporting to my grandma who watched me every day. I felt like I was, I had meaning behind it, so that made it easier. But of course, the stakes are higher, especially if this was your lifelong dream, messing that up, getting fired, that is a scary feeling. But we're professionals. After a while, it just becomes second nature to be on camera. After a while, it becomes second nature to report. And as long as you're confident in yourself and you're doing the right thing, mistakes happen here and there, and I think the public's pretty forgiving. But what I really wanted to concentrate on was, getting the story right and advocating for the truth and advocating, if I needed that extra day to get this fact, telling my managers that, hey, I'll provide you different content today. So then they're not, left in a tough position. But I want this story to be good, so I need an extra day for this. So you sometimes have to fight for yourself in the news in order to get it right and to maintain your credibility. And so I think I did a good job balancing that, especially when it's political reporting. There's just a whole other level of, we live in a time where people's trust in the media has really, diminished. And so I took that very seriously. And then, obviously once I left the industry, I still missed aspects of news. What I do now is not news, and I'll never claim that it's news. And I think some people misinterpret the fact that, I don't claim to be a journalist anymore. I've taken that hat off. But some of the skills that I learned as a journalist, I very much still implement. And that's the fun part, right, is the fact that even though I no longer serve the community in that way, now I'm serving the community in a way that's allowing parents to feel a little bit less alone in their struggles, allowing them to take a laugh and to take a break from the negativity of news. And so for years, I was bringing this negative news to people, which is important, but now I get to bring smiles and joy, and I love it so much more.
Yeah, and when you moved into Indianapolis, you were a political reporter, or technically a state capitol bureau reporter. Yes. So talk about the kind of things that you were in charge of covering, because you went from a news desk back to the reporting, but this, as you mentioned, is reporting under a microscope. So kind of talk about what you covered in that job.
I covered every single law that was passed at the State House. I mean, I was the lone State House reporter. So that weight alone was so heavy, being a single mom of a very young boy. So I took it very seriously because I love journalism. I love that role, and I really did enjoy it, but it was a lot. Then you tackle on the fact that we were in a pandemic. I was there when the pandemic hit. So I was the one asking the governor questions daily, because he was throwing those daily press conferences, and I was the one covering those, and I was the one in the thick of things. And I think that weighed on me, but it was such a privilege at the same time. When I look back, I'm like, wow, that was a really cool opportunity to be part of history. I mean, I was the first person at Fox 59 to tell the entire state of Indiana that they were being asked to stay home. That's never happened in the history of my life, like a stay-at-home order, and explaining that to the public was a privilege. But it was also a lot. You know what I mean? It was a lot mentally and emotionally. I'm proud of the work that I did, but it was unprecedented reporting, and it was surreal, really.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And a lot of people during the pandemic, they focused on the news itself, not the people who had to go in there and find out that information. So props to you for doing that with your shoulders back, your head up high, because I know that's got to be tough. And this conversation about your career has been so fruitful and rich. We have so much more still to dig into. We haven't even gotten to Mommy Reporter TikTok. So stick around with us. We'll be right back.
Man, we got to take Bryce Young, right? What did you say?
No, it's Bryce Young. It's obviously Bryce Young.
C.J. Stroud, the obvious pick for Steichen and the Colts.
Ohio State quarterbacks, we know they don't win.
Come on, he's got the whole offense handed to him. Check out Last Call. We've got all the sports info you need from around the nation and right here on campus, plenty of UND sports.
College football and college basketball.
The NFL.
The NBA.
MLB.
Don't forget about motorsports.
And I'll give you all the gambling picks you need to know to make some money right here on Last Call, Mondays at 4 o'clock on YouTube.
The world's a crazy place, and it's only getting crazier. And it seems like no one wants to talk about it. So I'm going to. That's why I created Real Talk, a roundtable discussion show where each week I bring on different guests to talk about hot button issues in society. Join me every week to get your questions answered, Wednesdays at 1 p.m.
Hey, it's Giselle here on 88.7 WICR.
88.7 The Diamond, the only jazz and classical station in Indianapolis, completely led by the students of the University of Indianapolis. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn app, FM radio, HD radios, or even on our website at wicronline.org, a different kind of public radio.
Welcome back into Good Morning Greyhounds again. I am joined by famous mommy TikTok reporter, Kayla Sullivan. So let's start talking about this TikTok side of your career. So you have a 4-year-old named Alan, and you wanted to kind of highlight that parenting is not always a cakewalk. So kind of talk about the work-life balance going into what you decided to do on social media.
Absolutely. So I actually was just documenting my kid's life, right? Because in reality, as a reporter, a former reporter, I started to get used to just, taking videos all the time and just really making sure that I'm capturing moments, because we are MMJs and we did learn photography and we did learn these things. So since Alan has been born, just been following him around with a camera. I want to catch all the moments, right? And then I saw this popular TikTok trend where an anchor at the time, I think she was an anchor in Houston, she challenged other people to do their best news voice and do something super mundane around the house. And I was like, well, I've got a news voice, like I can participate in this challenge. So I did a news report on changing my son's diaper, and I used like a bunch of the same kinds of talk, reporter speak, if you will, that you would use when you're reporting the news. Yes. And I held my son's diaper cream as a microphone and just wanted it to be super silly. And it went super viral. It was New Year's Eve 2021, so right before 2022. And I just remember I was going out that night for New Year's, and we were at dinner, and I was like, oh my gosh, my phone is blowing up right now. And Carrie Underwood commented on it. And I was just losing my mind because I couldn't believe what was happening. And so the next day, so New Year's Day 2022, I sat down and I was like, this is an opportunity that I don't want to waste. And I think people think this content's funny, so I want to do something else. So that was the day that I wrote the Olive Garden tantrum story. Yes, the ketchup one.
I was about to ask you about the Olive Garden tantrum.
And that one has 37 million views.
Over 6 million likes, Kayla. That's insane. And I went back and watched it, and then I watched it again, and then I watched it again and again and again, just to hear our thoughts are with the waitress who has a ketchup-covered fork on her uniform at this time.
Yes.
That killed me. It was so funny, Kayla.
Thank you. And it was hilarious because, as I'm writing this, I used the skills that I used in news, but also just adding the realities of parenting. What are parents facing? What am I facing? What is my son going through? And just to see all the comments of, I feel seen, this is my life, this is so funny. I have never really experienced that, because there's the difference between when I reported the news and it was so heavy, and it was, while it was educating people, it was also breaking their hearts, and I always avoided the comments because I didn't want to see like what that was causing people.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I loved the comment section. It felt like my own community. It felt like, I mean, you know, you'll get a few negative people here and there, but for the most part, if you go to my comment section, it's just people thanking me because they feel less alone, because they're going through the same thing, and it just feels like a support group for parents, and I loved that, and I just like, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep creating these, and every time I think I'm running out of content, my son will do something new, and I'll be like, all right, we're reporting on that.
No, and I think that your kind of TikTok blowing up thing is really funny, because I think a lot of people want to have that break. So we actually went out on campus and we asked students about their TikTok habits. So let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Frankie Cardenas, and I'm here to ask some students about their TikTok habits. So I just wanted to ask you, what are some of your TikTok habits?
I don't have TikTok. I really don't.
You don't have TikTok?
No. But I guess a habit is receiving a lot of TikTok videos from friends and my girlfriend, so I guess that can be a habit.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's it.
I mean, I usually get videos about books. I'm on Book Talk, about different video games that I like right now, about local news and politics, pretty typical for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Little, like, fashion and beauty things, too, but I don't really get much else. I feel like my feed changes it up every now and again. If I'm really big on a TV show at a certain time, that'll come up in my feed a lot, but not much else.
What are your TikTok habits?
I get on TikTok a lot. I would say probably twice a day. All of my videos though are like all motivational or like scripture or like God-based, so that's all I really get to watch on TikTok, which is pretty cool. But those are my TikTok habits.
Okay. What are your TikTok habits?
I actually try and stay off TikTok, otherwise I don't do my schoolwork, so like 10 minutes a day. Yeah.
What do you usually watch when you're on there?
Just anything on the For You page.
I'm probably on there a little too much, probably like every day, at night, in the morning mostly, because I have class during the day. Yeah.
What's usually like on your For You page?
Right now it's just a lot of graduation stuff because I'm graduating in a few days, and a lot of relationship stuff. I think it's just very tailored to my life. So yeah, pretty much it.
Thank you. What are some of your TikTok habits?
I tend to get on it every day, a couple hours a day. Sometimes it's pretty rough. I spend way too much time on it, and I actually just recently deleted it last night because I spend way too much time on it.
And we saw a couple students in that video mention how the content they got was very tailored to them. And you were just talking about the community that you think that kind of sparked in your comment section, which is amazing. So talk about that community, and have they been part of the inspiration to continue making these videos?
Oh, absolutely. And what's so cool about TikTok too, and Instagram Reels, I do both, but you know, you can comment an idea and then you take that comment and you create a video based off that comment. So you'll respond to the comment, it's in the video too. And so it's kind of a user-generated experience, because as the commenter, I know there's a possibility that I'll say, oh, you should do a report about bedtime routine, and that person will do a report about that. So that's a really cool part, because obviously in the real news, you don't create, and somebody doesn't create the news in that way. So this is a fun opportunity for the community to get involved and to be able to have a say in what we are reporting on, and to be able to have a say in what they want to see. But yeah, I mean, I think the people that see my content are obviously mostly parents. They are mostly people who just enjoy that comedy parenting stuff. And I mean, I am not the only one doing this. There are millions of people that are creating content designed to give parents a laugh, a break, to make them feel less alone. And I love that community. And I think one of the coolest commenters I've had was Jennifer Garner.
I mean,
that. She did a collaboration with me, and she just was so sweet, and it was unreal, because I've always been a fan of hers. And the fact that she was a fan of me and she was following me and my content, I was just, that's what's so cool about social media. Anyone can become someone on TikTok. You know, if you have a niche, if you have something that you're good at, and then you show people about it, that just has never been the case in recent history. You know, you usually have to work hard to know somebody, to get connections, to be able to be known to others, but anyone can be famous because they post on TikTok and then it goes viral.
Yeah, and your partnership with Jennifer Garner, probably one of the cooler things that came out of that video. I saw a comment by like Steve Harvey, I think, but what else has come out of this character kind of blowing up?
Oh man, I mean, a lot of different it's funny, you probably won't relate to this because you don't have kids, but there's this woman who's named Miss Rachel, and she's like the most amazing content creator for kids. Like, kids love her. She actually, her story is really cool because she had a kid who had some speech delays, and then she started making these YouTube videos. I mean, this woman is amazing. And she reached out to me saying she was a fan of me, and I was like, oh no, I'm a fan of you. And it's just that fangirling back and forth of like, I just can't believe all the people that have seen my content, and it's just never been something that I would ever imagine having conversations with Jennifer Garner or this Miss Rachel woman or all of these people that I so admire, that I think they're so talented. Elise Myers, she's really big on TikTok. I've talked to her before. You know, just some of these creators, it's just so much fun to be able to have a window to them now and to potentially collaborate with some of these people. It's been a real blessing, and I know that what I'm grateful for is the fact that I saw the opportunity when it first went viral and I kept going. And so, you know, continuing to go and reach out to brands, something that we haven't talked about yet, is the money that you can make from this.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously make money from my Kidding with Kayla segment, but it doesn't even compare to what money I make from my brand deals. You know, just this morning I posted an ad for Haribo gummy bears, and these main companies, you know, I've worked for Tampax, for Olay, for Dunkin', for Wendy's, for all of these brands that I'm like, I can't believe you're looking at me to do an ad. And it's so much fun to create content for these brands, and it's a whole different career that I've stumbled into, and that I've found that I just really enjoy ad writing, and I really enjoy this style that I've stumbled into.
Yeah, and as the mommy reporter of TikTok, which of the TikToks that you've made is your favorite? Now, I know you've made a lot, and you've used a lot of different things as your prop. I think I watched one with a flip-flop and like the wrench thing that you get from IKEA last night.
That was fun.
That one was funny. So which of those videos was your favorite?
Ooh, honestly, I think it'll have to be any of the ones that I have my son in with me. And I struggle with that because there's this whole culture too about like, should you let your kid be on social media, be seen? You know, most of my videos I'm just talking about him, but in some of them I actually let him be in it. But I think what makes me so proud and so happy is that I'm documenting these moments in his life, and I know one day I'll look back on those videos and be like, oh, I miss him talking like that, and I miss him looking like that, and I miss him being that little. You know, I did a report just the other day where I was talking about spring cleaning and how I never have clean windows, and I'm like, you know, as soon as I clean these windows, my son's like back, like touching him, and then I said something like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm cleaning, and then he just goes and just wipes his hands all, and he's just so funny, and he loves it. I think he loves being part of them, and he wants to watch it over and over again, and it's just that connection that I get to make with him is so priceless. And he was in a pizza ad with me, and he's giggling, and he's got this little mustache on, and it's just so fun to include him in my passion. And I'm hoping that it inspires some kind of creativity in him. I'm seeing a lot of our similarities, and he enjoys, I've been taking him to acting class, and he enjoys being in front of people, and he's very extroverted. So I'm hoping that, you know, maybe this will help him and inspire him to do something in his career that might be similar to what I'm doing.
Does he realize he's an online celebrity?
I don't think he realizes it yet. He's only 4. But it is funny when we do get recognized in public and people are like, oh my gosh, your kid is famous. Like, he's so funny. You're so funny. And he's just like, who are you? Like, stranger danger, you know? And but yeah, and he's actually got like a lot of kid fans. Like some moms will reach out to me and be like, hey, my son's a huge fan of Alan. Can you make a video of him saying hi or whatever? And Alan's like, what? So it's just funny. And sometimes we accommodate those because I just think it's cute that there's kids that will literally watch him because they love him. But one of my favorite stories, a mom asked me to lunch, and I went, and she said that she wanted to let me know that her daughter had an accident. She was burned really badly, and in the hospital, all she did was play my videos on loop, and she said that that was the only thing that like made her smile during that time.
Yeah.
So a lot of these stories of people being like, oh, you were the first time I smiled today, or whatever. It's so nice because, like I said, in news, I wasn't really making people smile. I was telling them the bad news of the world. So it's just such a difference that I didn't even know was my dream come true. But now I'm like, wow, I love making people smile. I love making people relate.
And before we close out the show, what are your social media handles so people can watch these funny videos?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So on Instagram, I'm at Kayla Marie Sully, Sully, and on TikTok, it's Kayla Reporting.
All right, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us today on Good Morning Greyhounds, and thank you guys for sticking with us throughout the entire school year. It's been a pleasure. Good Morning Greyhounds will be back in the fall, so until then, see you real soon.